The compass needle spun a slow, uncertain arc while the forest exhaled, a hiss of leaves that sounded like whispering. Trail tape trembled, yet no wind moved the air between the black trunks. This is Aokigahara, Japan, the Sea of Trees, a place where sound is swallowed by moss and lava and direction feels negotiable. Tonight we enter quietly to consider why navigation falters and why so many swear the forest speaks. Roots on lava, silence in the canopy. Aokigahara lies cloaked in quiet at the base of Mount Fuji, stretching across the lava plains left behind by an eruption in the year 864. That eruption carved a foundation of twisted basalt and gas-bubbled hollows, a volcanic memory now hidden beneath moss and mulch. Over the centuries, that once barren rock gave rise to a forest, resilient, dense, and strangely hushed. With only a thin veil of earth above the hardened stone, the trees here grow not down into soil, but across it. Roots ripple over the lava's surface like veins, sprawling outward to anchor themselves wherever they can. This unusual root system, exposed and clawing, lends Aokigahara its other name, the Sea of Trees. Above, the canopy closes thick with cedar, hemlock, and pine, folding the sky into a patchwork of dappled green. Beneath, the air is still, so still that sound itself seems to settle and disappear. In this strange hush, even birdsong falters. According to features aired by NHK on the region, the forest absorbs sound with uncanny efficiency. A visitor might take just a few steps off trail and find the world muffled. Sightlines break against trunks, paths seem to vanish, and one's own breath becomes the only familiar noise. Centuries before boundaries were marked and trails carved with multilingual signs, Aokigahara was already etched into folklore. Spirits called yurei are said to drift through the trees, souls, according to local legend, who never found peace. Their stories linger in low voices and songs without a source, passed down and retold by those who dared to walk too far and return changed. Today, the Yamanashi Prefecture oversees its care. Park rangers inspect marker posts, clear fallen branches from key paths, and maintain guide points along official trails. Search and rescue teams are trained for low-visibility navigation, relying not on electronics, which often falter here, but on practiced instinct and careful planning. To walk Aokigahara is not to court danger. The forest does not hunt or haunt, it simply does not behave the way human travelers expect. Signals blur, landmarks mislead. It is a place where nature reclaims attention and the usual rules of direction unravel. Respect, not fear, is the first thing you carry when you step beneath its canopy. When sound goes soft, hikers speak of an uncanny hush that descends as they move deeper into the sea of trees. Each footstep seems to vanish into the earth, swallowed by a silence so thick that even heartbeats feel amplified. It's not just quiet, it's quieting, a sensation that nudges the ears and unsettles the nerves. The cause, though rooted in science, feels almost otherworldly. Beneath the moss-covered floor lies a foundation of vesicular lava, rock so porous it latches onto sound. It doesn't echo, it absorbs. The canopy overhead, dense with layers of cedar and foliage, disperses whatever sound remains. As a result, voices rarely travel far, and forest noises dissolve before they can reach your second thought. Navigation here becomes more than challenging, it turns deceptive. Compasses, a hiker's staple, can waver when held close to iron-rich formations baked into old lava flows. A slight twitch in the needle can feel like an omen. GPS devices, reliant on clean sky views, falter under the dense mesh of branches and the curving folds of ravines. The technology we trust begins to stammer. Local rangers, many of whom have walked these paths for years, note how vision plays tricks as well. A rise seems only meters ahead, but as one moves, the landscape folds in on itself, repeating features in subtle variations. What looked like progress becomes a cycle. It's a terrain designed, it seems, to test certainty. Compounding this confusion are the ribbons, bright red or faded yellow, tied around trunks or branches. Meant sometimes as markers by lost or overcautious hikers, these unregulated trails can give false hope or lead even deeper into uncertainty. Official guidance discourages their use, but they persist, fluttering like small, silent warnings. Then there are the sounds that do reach you. A narrow cave mouth pushes air upward, and the result is a low, continuous hum, barely audible, yet oddly tonal. Infrasound research suggests such frequencies can provoke anxiety or unease, stirring something primal in the listener. The human brain, wired to find patterns, may translate these faint rustlings and hums into whispers. A twig snaps in the distance. A ribbon twitches in a breeze you didn't feel. In such a space, stripped of clarity and filled with subtle cues, it's easy to believe that something or someone is speaking. But often experts say it's only the forest itself. It speaks not in words, but in textures of terrain, the wind brushing over needles, and the quiet insistence that in this place, staying found requires more than tools. It calls for attention, a brief vanishing. In late autumn, a hiking party of 3 set off from a well-worn trail on the western flank of Aokigahara. Their goal was simple: a brief excursion to photograph a lava tube they had glimpsed through the undergrowth. The plan was intentional, their map marked, their steps counted. But within minutes, the forest began to rearrange itself. Not physically, but perceptually. Their compass, an analog backup to their GPS, began rotating in a subtle yet persistent arc. It didn't spin wildly, but drifted just enough to prompt unease. Meanwhile, the GPS unit stalled, lagging behind their movements. Above them, the low canopy of interlocked cedar and hemlock erased any reference to the sky. Their radios, until then a steady chatter, began to hiss and waver. A faint reply came through the static, followed by silence. Moments later, what looked like a piece of marker tape fluttered on a distant sapling, tugging lightly in the breeze, like a beckoning finger pointing deeper into the brush. One of the hikers advanced 2 steps but stopped, recalling what they'd read. Distance in Aokigahara is not measured in meters, but in certainty lost. One hiker suggested reversing their route by counting steps in reverse, a strategy used in backtracking when visual cues fail. Another recommended following a dry drainage downhill, hoping it might loop back toward the main trail. They paused, took stock, and called out. At first, there was only an echo. Strangely delayed, strangely close. Then, a voice came through, the faint, unmistakable crackle of a ranger's walkie. Relief surged through their group. A rescue team, trained in navigating the distortive acoustics of the forest, reached them in just under an hour. Later GPS logs confirmed that their detour had taken them no more than 180 meters off the official trail. In most forests, that's barely a deviation. In Aokigahara, it's a vanishing act. Where canopies absorb sound, basalt disrupts instruments, and a wrong step can lead to uncertainty that uncoils far faster than reason. According to ranger notes from similar cases, the forest doesn't trap people violently. It ushers them into disorientation with a subtle patience. A compass needle drifting, a radio crackling, an echo misplaced. Sometimes, as the hikers learned, the most dangerous part of the sea of trees is how familiar it all feels, right before it no longer does. Needles, signals, and the green labyrinth inside Aokigahara, traditional navigation tools, compasses, GPS receivers, even one's own sense of direction, are quietly tested. Local geologists and forestry teams have mapped small magnetic anomalies within the basalt-rich soil. Using handheld magnetometers, they've observed subtle irregularities, slight shifts that occur when a compass is held too close to volcanic rock or kept too low to the ground. These variations are rarely dramatic, but just enough to make a needle hesitate or veer momentarily. At chest height, away from metal objects, most compasses function as expected. But deep in the forest's twisting understory, perception begins to play tricks. When hikers expect a trail to run straight and their compass suggests otherwise, doubt sets in. The labyrinth appears to reorient itself, not by force, but by confusion. GPS fares no better. According to reports from search teams and park rangers, satellite signals often falter beneath Aokigahara's dense canopy. In some areas, the terrain cups the devices in natural hollows, distorting or delaying the signal. Receivers might freeze, skip, or scatter data points across the screen, mapping a trail that feels broken, like breadcrumbs lost to the wind. To counter these flaws, trained crews rely less on devices and more on practiced discipline. Search and rescue units use fixed grid patterns, calling aloud at set intervals, marking their paths with ribbons and flags. Yet even these markers can mislead. Rangers recount stories of misplaced tapes left by panicked hikers or color trails that draw rescuers off course. Interviews with veteran forest staff reveal recurring behaviors among the lost: attempts to shortcut across unmarked terrain, movement toward unfamiliar sounds, and a dangerous trust in colors or symbols without checking their direction. Ultimately, the forest does not break the laws of nature. Rather, it amplifies nature's ambiguity. Without horizon lines or reliable echoes, the forest removes external confirmation, leaving the mind to second-guess itself. It's in this sensory uncertainty, where nothing affirms and small errors compound, that Aokigahara becomes not just a forest, but a puzzle. One that doesn't need to deceive, only to obscure. Why whispers travel? Several explanations hover over Aokigahara's mysteries, none claiming finality, yet each adding contour to the forest's enigmatic atmosphere. At the geological level, the forest is built atop hardened lava flows from Mount Fuji's past eruptions. These flows are rich in magnetic minerals, a fact well documented in geological records from Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science. These minerals can subtly interfere with compasses, especially handheld ones, leading hikers astray if the devices aren't used with care. When the terrain itself curves and dips in unexpected ways, bearings become slippery. Horizon lines vanish, and the forest canopy chokes out distant landmarks. In such a place, a slightly faulty compass doesn't need to be broken to become unreliable. But wayfinding confusion may not explain everything. Another theory lives in the spaces we can't quite hear. Infrasound, acoustic waves too low in frequency for human ears, can be generated when high winds slide past the mouths of caves or cascade along the jagged forest edge. According to general reviews in acoustic psychology, this subaudible noise has been linked to discomfort, disorientation, and the uncanny sensation of being watched. Aokigahara is riddled with lava tubes and uneven edges, the perfect architecture for such disturbances. Here, sound doesn't vanish, it mutates. Psychologists also point to the brain's pattern-matching instinct. In spaces of intense quiet, rustling leaves or creaking branches may become more than just wind. When someone's alertness is heightened by solitude, fear, or simply the silence, the mind tends to fill in blanks. This is called pareidolia, and in the forest's hush, it nudges people toward interpreting noise as voice, motion as presence. And then comes cultural priming. The Sea of Trees isn't just silent, it's storied. Countless documentaries, urban legends, and news features have cast it as haunted, mysterious, or worse. Visitors often arrive already braced for something strange. That anticipation itself, a readiness to encounter the uncanny, acts like a lens. Voices that aren't there become easier to hear. The ordinary is reclassified as ominous. None of this, however, erases real threats. Aokigahara is dense and paths narrow quickly. Cell signals fade. Daylight filters through in patches and disappears fast under canopy. If you wander off trail, even a few feet can alter your orientation entirely. Temperatures fall sharply, and landmarks recycle themselves in the green. Theories help us organize the experience, but they don't neutralize it. As one ranger told NHK during a recent profile, respect the map, mind the compass, and above all, know that this forest has its own sense of time. In the Sea of Trees, interpretation bends easily, and silence is never just silence. Markers, maps, and measured steps. In recent years, entrances to Aokigahara have begun to change. Where once the forest opened with little more than quiet invitation, modern trailheads now carry prominent signage, large boards bearing clear maps, measured distances, and soft but firm reminders: stay on marked paths. One by one, these markers were introduced not as deterrents, but as anchors. Volunteer networks, often composed of locals and hiking enthusiasts, now work closely with rangers from Yamanashi Prefecture. Together, they coordinate seasonal patrols and training exercises, refining their knowledge with each excursion. Their guidance echoes a consistent refrain: don't walk alone, carry a print map alongside a charged phone, and keep your bearings frequently. Trust official signs. Do not follow lines of tape placed by strangers, many of which lead nowhere, or worse, away from help. Conservationists have also stepped forward, working to protect the forest's fragile underpinnings. Aokigahara's roots often skim just beneath the surface, spread across thin soils that blanket ancient volcanic rock. It's a terrain easily disrupted. A misplaced footstep might collapse shallow ground beneath a traveler or disturb the fine balance nature has kept for centuries. And then there's the rhythm of the seasons. During summer, leaves grow thick, weaving walls of green that swallow trail edges and mute distant sounds. Come autumn, branches shed their canopy, revealing slats of sky through vivid foliage, but the forest floor, mottled with reds and golds, can mask paths beneath color. Winter strips the trees and sharpens sightlines, yet snow underfoot introduces its own deceptions. With every shift, the forest dresses differently, inviting, concealing, guiding, and confusing. Yet amid these natural changes, the cultural narrative has shifted as well. Where media once dwelled on the forest's darkest associations, today's story slowly, collectively has turned. Aokigahara is increasingly recognized not as a place of dread, but a rare ecosystem shadowing the flanks of Mount Fuji. A place of hushed beauty and biological tension, where silence has echoes and every path is part of a living story. Yes, the sea is still, but now the currents are charted, marked, and for those who heed the signs, passage is steadier. Each step measured, each journey just a little more known. Listening to the quiet in Aokigahara, silence wraps itself around you like a second skin. But here, silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of something else entirely. It is the rustle of moss-laden limbs overhead, the chill touch of stone underfoot, and the faint sigh of wind threading through branches. It is a stillness so textured that it seems to invite listening, not just hearing. As hikers step beneath the towering canopy, they bring with them the noise of the outside world, their assumptions, distractions, and expectations. But the forest doesn't accommodate those easily. Instead, it answers with filtered light, trails that loop back unexpectedly, and shadows that move differently depending on how still the observer becomes. Some researchers, such as those studying infrasound and sensory perception, suggest that this particular quiet is deeper, even disorienting. Certain frequencies resonate without being consciously heard, turning the experience of solitude into something resonant, even strange. In their notes, park rangers and search crews mention how quickly technology loses its edge, compasses dip and twist off course, and GPS signals falter beneath the vertical weight of roots and volcanic stone. It is in that disorientation that the so-called whispers emerge. Not voices, not quite, but the subtle interplay between internal dialogue and external ambiguity. A soft click of bark falling, a filtered echo, all arriving when one begins to walk slower, to pay closer attention. The forest does not speak in words. Instead, it reminds that mystery is rarely hidden. It is simply unrecognized, waiting in plain view. Aokigahara is not a puzzle to be solved or feared. It is an invitation to linger, to observe without urgency, and perhaps, if only for a moment, to understand the quiet as a conversation no longer needing to be answered. You have been listening to Nightmare Nook. Aokigahara offers quiet and questions in equal measure, a forest that complicates the senses and rewards careful steps. If this journey through the sea of trees stayed with you, subscribe and join us for the next descent into the unknown.